Hello there, water people. Fritz Coleman here to give you your water forecast for California and Orange County. Remember when drought was the perpetual theme of California water's scene? 2 of the last 3 water years have been very wet. The 2018-2019 water year, which started in October, is looking great. Last year we saw a measly 3.66 inches of rain locally. This year, however, we've already seen more than 20 inches of rain. Not so fast, though. We still need to make up for those 5 years of consecutive drought. We also saw incredible snowpack levels. Statewide snowpack in April came to 162% of average. So if you hadn't hit the slopes yet this year, there's still little time to do so. This is fantastic news for all of California after suffering one of the worst droughts of our lifetimes, even if it's fading into the rearview mirror. Now, we all know why having all that snow is important. Here in California, the snowpack is one of our most unpredictable storage accounts. In May, the state's 6 largest water reservoirs were filled to the brim, between 92 and 129% of historical average. Sadly, though, during this wonderfully wet year, we still lost so much precious water into the ocean because there's nowhere else to put it. If we had built storage projects like Sites Reservoir, we could have potentially captured 600,000 acre-feet as of March 8th, which would have equaled more than 194 billion gallons of water, enough to serve 4.4 million Californians for 1 year. Instead, that water was wasted. Here in Orange County, thanks to an emergency deviation granted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Orange County Water District was able to store stormwater behind Prado Dam in Riverside at a higher elevation. This allowed them to capture and store more than an additional 20,000 acre-feet, or 64 billion gallons of water that OCWD put back into the Orange County groundwater basin, where it became part of Orange County's drinking water supply. Without the deviation, the stormwater would have been lost to the Pacific Ocean, and the cost to purchase the equivalent amount in imported supplies from Northern California or the Colorado River would have been more than $20 million. The Corps is also partnering with OCWD and other agencies in Sonoma, Turlock, and Yuba to do more research on atmospheric rivers. It's a phrase we forecasters have been using more often lately. Atmospheric rivers are relatively long, narrow regions in the atmosphere, like rivers in the sky, that transport most of the water vapor outside of the tropics. The water vapor rises and it cools to create heavy precipitation. The partners hope to develop better forecasting for extreme rain events, which will help improve reservoir operations to better prepare for floods and capture more stormwater. Now, what's the latest with a water fix? This time last year, the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, with a heavy lift from the Municipal Water District of Orange County, approved additional investments in the California Water Fix. They supported funding the building of 2 tunnels to bring water from Northern California to Southern California. There was hope that former Governor Jerry Brown would have had all the T's crossed and the I's dotted for the project before his term ended, but he was unable to get the ball into the end zone. The new California Governor, Gavin Newsom, favors a 1-tunnel system and is calling for a more diversified water strategy. He recently issued an executive order that the California Natural Resources Agency, California Environmental Protection Agency, and the California Department of Food and Agriculture prepare a water resilience portfolio. So where does that leave the water fix? Well, the Department of Water Resources says scrapping the old plan could delay the project by as much as 3 years while officials file new environmental reviews and reapply for permits. The governor says he wants a tunnel. Now the question is, how big will that tunnel be? And what happens if the Central Valley folks have a change of heart and decide that they want in? Meantime, MWDOC continues to beat the drum that 2 tunnels is the best way to ensure reliable conveyance and at the same time provide environmental benefits as well. I mean, we've only spent like $250 million over the past decade or so studying this. Build something already. Also, folks aren't sure how the state plans on funding new water projects in a diversified portfolio, since the state revolving fund low-interest loan program is overprescribed with a backlog of $8 billion in requests. There is some optimism that the federal government will be putting forth an infrastructure package in the near future, but our water problems are far from being fixed. Stay tuned. While water quantity issues dominated the headlines last year, water quality will most likely be at the forefront in the year ahead. Water agencies in California and around the U.S. are also looking more closely at compounds called PFOA and PFOS. These are fluorinated organic chemicals that were used to make carpets and clothing and fabrics for furniture, paper packaging for food, and other materials like cookware resistant to water, grease, and stains. They're also used for firefighting at airfields and in a number of industrial processes. Some states back east, heavily impacted by manufacturers of these products, have set their own drinking water guidelines and standards for these compounds. In summer 2018, the California Division of Drinking Water established notification levels and response levels for PFOA and PFOS. OCWD's lab became the first public agency lab in California to get certification to test for these compounds. Agencies throughout California are now testing, and local OC agencies have formed a task force on the issue and are committed to serving drinking water that meets state and federal guidelines. Meanwhile, approximately 200 California water systems in disadvantaged communities do not have access to clean drinking water. The governor's administration is pushing for a statewide water tax to fix these communities. You heard right, a tax on drinking water, with water agencies becoming tax collectors for the state. The water community wants to help solve this problem. That's where SB 414 comes in. SB 414 would create the Small System Water Authority Act of 2019. It would essentially merge or consolidate these failing systems with utilities that already have technical expertise in place while providing transparency and government process. So in summary, the good news is we're out of a drought. The water fix is still in motion. We're trying to diversify California's water portfolio, and efforts are being made to bring clean water to disadvantaged communities. It won't be easy, but rest assured your water leaders in Orange County are doing everything they can to fight the good fight on these issues and more.